the topic of the next little bit is carry on the theme of integration, how the world of TMS, WMS is going to continue to evolve, the buzzwords of AI and data lakes and LLMs and all this malarkey. So, are we all ready? I'm going to go with David and Tim first because they're the cornerstone of this meeting, the cornerstones of this meeting, shall we say. So from your different fields, from a TMS and WMS point of view, what's the biggest shift you're seeing in how logistical businesses are approaching technology right now?
I do think there is a little bit more of a catalyst now for people to modernise and digitalise. And again, I think it is that AI pressure. We're all seeing the headlines of the things that are happening. People are saying, how do we do this? And that's why they're kind of coming to companies like Clarus, because they're seeing some of the things we're doing and we're able to kind of help them with the, this is what you're wanting to achieve. This is how you can achieve it, because it's a big learning curve. There's lots to do here. It's not a magic bullet as well. There's a lot of education around what it can't do as well as what it can do. I think that's what's really important. But that's the main driver at the moment. And it's just that general modernisation point. Legacy systems are just getting more legacy.
Oh, don't talk about SQL databases. David?
I just think there's just been a whole, I know I touched on this before, but just a huge seismic shift in the adoption of it day to day. I think as much as it's become ingrained in everyday lives. I mean, people get up in the morning, they don't feel very well. They don't come and pick the phone to the doctor first thing in the morning now. They pick up the phone to ChatGPT, and that has become such a normal thing for everybody. But yeah, now it is.
It's awful. I don't like that.
All my missus does. And it comes back to loads of information. I'm thinking, how have we got this? They're like, it's ChatGPT, isn't it? And then, do you know what? A lot of time it seems it's quite right. And I think, yeah, obviously the natural next step is that people then take that into the career.
Well, I think you both said earlier, didn't it? It's data, isn't it? It's getting hold of your data and moving your data.
Fast as well. People want it immediately.
So that's the outlook for operators then, shall we say. Well, Jamie and Conor, to set the scene then, where have we come from? What fundamentals have changed? Your operations 5 to 10 years ago, when you used to have to sit in the traffic office.
Let me paint you a picture. There's a whiteboard on the wall with all the collections on it. You have to go up and write down when the pallets come in, who it's going to. There's a fax machine underneath it where orders are coming through. There's a load of trays, and they've all got postcodes on them. So when you go delivery, you print off the delivery note. Sometimes put a barcode on top of it so you can allocate it. You put it in the tray. There's a guy working in the corner whose job it is just to type stuff into a computer, just data entry. Yeah, we was even like sending yard people in pickups to a customer 5 miles down the road to pick up paperwork to bring it back. Like I've come to collect some paperwork. Chaos. Yeah.
Trade secrets.
So yeah, it wasn't a good place. So there's a lot of room. There's a lot of room for improvement. From the very outset. And actually, the way the timing worked with us, especially, was actually these new technologies came at exactly the right time. That we'd just kind of sorted out the legacy issues that didn't really need AI and integration. That were just kind of basic business process stuff. Then all the cool, interesting new stuff started coming out. So we were still on that wave of improvement. So just kept riding it really.
Conor, your side of the water, more whiteboards?
Whiteboards.
We've still got a whiteboard.
We went a bit fancy and laminated a big map. We used to look up the air codes and draw lines between them on how to plan. I mean, we were primarily transport for a long time, and whiteboards and barcodes and all the sorts was the norm. When we switched into warehousing, that was all paper based for a good chunk of it. And partially our fault, and partially our customers said we want a warehouse system that does everything. We said, well, what's out there? There is nothing really. Until Clarus came along, and it seemed to reign true with our customer. And since then, everything just got faster and more efficient. But despite having the warehouse system, it was still pen and paper for transport. It was still drawing out air codes going. You needed someone that knew every inch of the country just to plan efficiently. And then we got Qargo last year. And now we have people that you don't even know certain areas of the country, but they can plan accordingly and they can plan efficiently just because the system showcases it in clear as day for them. So yeah, I mean, I can't speak too much on the olden days because I'm new into the transport team, but I have seen in the past 2-3 years, we've gone from could be any time up until midnight to everyone getting home on time. Everyone knows what they're doing. There's no driver ringing you up at 10 o'clock at night going, oh, which truck am I in? Where's the keys? I don't know. We have it all set in the systems, and that's where we're going. So yeah, I can't thank them enough.
I love telling staff that they don't know what a 14-hour traffic office day is like anymore. Cool. So so you set the scene. So let's bring it forward a little bit now to actually, or just before Qargo and Clarus land that you alluded to just there, Conor. So Jamie, back to you. Again, what were we like just before we got Qargo and Clarus, or when we got them and before they were connected?
I think the thing that happened is that we hit a ceiling on the systems that we were using really, really quickly. So we sorted out all the stuff that we could sort out basically between us, like put some workflows in, put some processes on. This is how it should work. Start using the systems that you've got. There's still a lot of manual processes, which is just part and parcel of those systems we was using, but we started hitting the ceiling of the capability for those programs, and becoming more and more of a nuisance to their help desk. Can I do this? No. Can I do this? No. Can I do? Yeah. Can you just give me all the data? No, we can't do that. And then starting to explore like hacks. How do we force this system to do what we want? So that was when we discovered Qargo first, and it felt like they had the answer to all of our problems. And when we moved to Clarus, it's probably like our fourth WMS in as many years. Interestingly, we did have a conversation with Clarus about 5 years ago, I think it was. I found an email on our whole hard drive of your brother talking to Clarus and going, actually, no, we won't bother. And then we went to all these other WMSs and then came back again. But think of the trouble we could have saved ourselves.
Luckily, he's not in the business anymore.
If we had just made that right call the first time. Yeah.
Similar from your point of view, Conor, when did you realise that you needed like a tech stack?
Yeah, when we went in, I say it time and time again, and I bring it up a lot. The requirements that we have and the demands that we have don't come from ourselves. They come from our customers. We're here to serve our customers. That's what we are. We're customer service at the high level. It's what makes our customers happy, and that's when we started looking. So even though we were on paper for a long time and it worked for what we did, but there were so many inaccuracies. There was no way to really track stock. There was no way to really track who was productive and who wasn't. You made it up really when someone asked. If we went to someone and went, oh yeah, well, how many picks did you do today? He's looked through loads of paper going, we've probably picked about 200 orders. You don't know. So when we started the Clarus, the one thing that has rang true since we started is we have a 99% stock accuracy. And I bring it up all the time when people ask, is the system good? We have a 99% stock accuracy in the 3 years that we're there, and it rains true every year. It's still true today. We've had more complex stock. We have other customers in the warehouse. There's a lot more moving parts in our warehouse than there was back then, and we still maintain the same stock count. And every stock count that comes up, we do about 7 a year between all the customers, and every single one has come out positive on our side. If there is a discrepancy, it's usually down to their system not updating rules sent back most of the time. So that was the warehouse system. And then I don't know how a transport company was still using pen and paper when we came in and got a warehouse system first, but I got asked, what is a good transport system? We had one. It's been great for other customers that we know, like we got it on recommendation, but for us and having the multiple customers and needing a diverse workflow for each one, it didn't really work. And I actually went to Clarus and I went, coming from an IT side of it, is there a transport system that you already integrate with? Because I knew it was going to take months if we had to integrate somewhere else. And they said, yeah, actually Qargo come out of the box. So we got in touch, we seen the system. We actually had a couple of our transport team in, and our managing director is transport from the get-go. And they all loved the system and they loved what it can do. And we felt it was the right path to modernise what we're trying to offer. Again, we offer a custom experience, so that's what we needed from both systems. And now we have it. So we have 7 customers on Qargo, fully on Qargo at the moment, and each one has a different workflow and it works seamlessly. So that's what we needed and that's what we got.
And to answer, I'll add to that, the reason we went with you two lovely gentlemen in your systems is because not only the capabilities of the system, and they're quite new, which is good and refreshing. It's not a modularization that's happened over time and it's all convoluted, but actually it's your attitude towards collaboration Like I could see when I met Adrian the first time, when I met you two and met Glenn, like you could see that you guys understood the benefit of connecting with others like we do in the haulage world. It's not about trying to make your little silo and not let anyone else in. It's the connectivity.
It's not our data, is it? It's your data.
Oh, thanks, mate.
Thanks, yes.
It's true, isn't it?
It is. So Tim, from your point of view, you're building what Conor said there about his own operation. As this integration has started to happen then, what is the common problems and gaps within a warehousing operation that you see across the rest of your customer base? What have you been trying to tackle, or what has this integration meant?
Yeah, well, I think the key thing is that integration is hard. If you buy a WMS and you have to integrate it to your TMS, that's a really hard that's probably the hardest part of the project of implementing both the systems. The fact that Qargo and Clarus are now integrated out the box, and not only that, we've got mature customers on there who've been using it for a long time. I think we're over 35 combined customers that are using it. The use cases have kind of spiraled out of that as well. So what Conor showed today, you can actually do it the complete reverse as well. So you can actually create the orders in TMS, and that can filter throughout to Clarus. And we've got it working on lots of different ways. And again, it's out the box, it's maintained by us, and we take ownership of that integration, which again is key. Because again, if you've gone and got a different WMS or a different TMS and someone says, oh, we didn't get the orders in the system correct this week, it's a kind of like, it might be them, who knows? Whereas we can take full ownership and say, this is going to work and this is how it works, and we're going to make sure it keeps working as well as systems integrate. So I think just as the customer base of Clarus and Qargo grow, we're going to get more use cases. We're going to keep building that integration and making it part of our core product, and our users are never going to have to worry about that. It just works.
Nice. So from that core product, as you said then, Tim, for you, David, what is, for me and the others in the room, what's different then, your relationship and your connection, physically and mentally, that is different from just me connecting two systems at the end of the day? How does it go beyond just EDI or whatever?
I think, it goes back to where we were before. I think for a long, long time, probably neither business felt comfortable recommending anybody else. I think it's probably a fair reflection of it.
Absolutely.
And I know you were in the market before we arrived, but I remember the first thing, the kind of the conversations we had with you and your team was nice to be able to find someone we feel comfortable recommended.
Yep.
And I think that's then allowed the relationship to expand to the point where, I still speak to the team fairly regularly, if you're doing it up externally and things. But I also think to take that away into another area, everybody doesn't need to all be ingrained in one platform anymore. Historically, again, I was on this conversation this morning, it used to be you went to one provider and they tried to provide everything. I think now we've kind of got this connected ecosystem, but allow people to choose the provider that they feel to be the best in class of each individual area. And I know this is a little bit of like I suppose a bougie word, but nobody's trying to boil the ocean. We're not trying to do everything all at once. We stay in what we feel is, our field of expertise, and we get that right. And then that's exactly the same for you guys as well. And I think that both people have that same kind of synergy about them, and it's what makes relationship work so well.
It makes the relationship work so well, and I think it resonates with the customer base as well, because you all openly admit that you just concentrate on your thing. Like we were ex-Sterling, and we had the TMS, the WMS, the workshop module, the accounts package, and some other integrations, the portal bit as well. And it was just, you couldn't get any, you go back to the glass ceiling bit that we were talking about. It doesn't work, does it?
No, but for the excellent scenario, the experts in the area, and our roadmaps are limited, and so will their roadmap be. So it wasn't, to do it joint, you're only going to end up with more average the stack if you go joint.
So we're now talking about one flow, as it's saying in the notes, one flow. It's not a boy band. Before I touch on Jamie to go into the future first, because this is forte. So, Conor, just building on what you started and what those two then articulated, just drive home how important it is that those two systems work so nicely that you demonstrated to us earlier. Like, it goes beyond just having a good WMS, a good TMS that can talk to each other. Like, can you articulate just how good it's been for your business? Like, what are the outputs been?
I know we have seen a big increase in our customers. Having the two systems is great internally is fine. You know, it looks great. Everything going in one flow from when an order gets created to when you can see it on the plan screen. That is perfect. But where it really shows for us is the capabilities and the ability that we can offer to our customers. We can go to our customer and say, okay, we can store your stock and we can deliver it, but we can show you live data of each one the whole way through the process. If you want this done a certain way, by all means, we could do it, no problem. We can cater to our customers because of the systems and because they can see from the origin of when the stock arrives to our warehouse to where it ended up. They can see the full step-by-step process without us having to do anything. That's really the key here, because the customer portal on Qargo is fantastic, but knowing that our customers aren't going in, they can go into our systems, but they don't need to, right? They look at their own system that they're all used to. They put an order through, and between two systems, we're pinging back statuses back to them. Our customers don't have to leave their system, and that's what really benefits them. But for us internally, we have full confidence that when an order gets created, it's definitely in Qargo already. Yeah. And there's no manual imports, there's no manual exports. We don't leave the two systems like we used to before. We used to customize in Excel, take it out of Clarus, import it into the other TMS. It was just taking time, that's unnecessary time, really. So having the two systems has been a huge benefit to us, and we've seen it because now we can focus on actually getting more business, and we can grow as a company. And that wouldn't have been possible without the two integrated so closely together.
And I think because we're so much heavily talking about stargazing and what's next and this, that, I think we've missed some of the fundamental great features of your two systems. I mean, you just think about rate cards, like the fact that we can have customizable rate cards of any shape, any form. We've got double layer rate cards that try to do units, then do weight, or vice versa. How it calculates rate cards. We went through a period of time in our business where I tried to make less rate cards because I was fed up of making Jamie put them in sterling and spend 2 hours inputting every single postcode for 28 or 32 across the top. Fuel surcharges, it can be different for every customer and can start halfway through a month and carry on, just like things like that. You forget how just the basics are done so well. So thank you, guys. Right, future. We've talked about AI a little bit, so I'm going to skip that to a certain extent. Jamie, I don't know if I should let you go rogue here, to be honest.
I might not even let you ask the question.
Just come.
It's all about bringing in more data sources in my mind. So I mean, not specifically about AI, but with AI, it's all about context, isn't it? And that's the reason that solutions like what we're talking about today are so powerful, because we've got so much context in the data that exists, whether it's the transport data or the warehouse data. So all the next steps are around, well, how can you enrich that data, and how can you bring in more data sources? So telematics is the obvious one. Yeah, pulling in your telematics. I know you guys have done some great work on that. But outside of that, there's all these different systems that transport companies use. You know, all the transport specific ones like asset management and workshops, to the more sort of business tools, your CRM and your finance. So getting a level of intelligence across all of those things is going to be one of the big next steps. There's another part to it as well, where you start looking at kind of like system level orchestration of transport networks, of supply chains, and again, something Qargo's doing some work on is like, how do you start linking up all these different operators? So not just expanding the data from within different systems, but expanding the data from how other people are working together and how they're talking to each other. Starts to become really, really powerful.
Well, again, yeah, context. So we're connected to 3 other operators through the world of Qargo. That is just a pure connection. It's an extension of our system. So we hand it over, we put it in one of the buckets that in effect subcontracts it, goes straight into their system, gets pre-populated and everything, and we get everything. We see the vehicle like it's an extension of our fleet. So I've got operators giving us, in effect, traction only, but I've got visibility on everything. Like you were saying earlier, Conor, as soon as that POD is signed, the DSC is done, the checkpoints are done, the ETA is updated, it's all within our system. It's that, again, we started today, didn't we, talking about collaboration. And Tim, so we'll go on to you with what Jamie just said, and you touched on it, didn't you, earlier when you were showing us about your new next level connection, where you'll be able to, in effect, through an LLM or through Qargo, be able to trigger things that happen in other systems. So what else is in your head, mate? We'll talk about that a bit more, and then what else is in your head?
Yeah, so the stuff beyond what we're doing it's really it's the agentic approach. So it's actually describing to an agent what it needs to do, and then it makes its own decisions within the system. So you're almost saying to you are a stock controller, you're going to make sure that stock doesn't expire, you're going to make sure that we meet our cycle count KPIs of releasing stock checks per day. All this stuff that, again, you can do to some automations, but it's like the next level of automation. You can really drill it into your whatever logic you want it to do. And then it just goes off and does it for you. And you know that your stock control is managed by an AI agent, and it's only going to come back to you when you've got exceptions, and you can track it against that. And then on top of that as well, just generally how I think people use systems, it's going to be a lot easier. As I said, the sales system we use, I don't know how to log into it. I don't know how to use it at all, but I can talk to it and I can get the information out that I need. That's going to become a use case all over, I think.
Well, it's always the same in our business. There's the reason Jamie's sitting in that seat and I'm not sitting in that seat, because I have no clue how to log into your systems anymore. I just ask something.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago. David, same question.
I mean, I touched on quite a few of the topics before, to be fair. I think the chat agent is something that I think, because people are so used to using it as well, day in, day out, it's something they feel comfortable with, that expansion of. I think probably the one thing to bear in mind at this stage is, as much as people, the concept of a dark traffic office is something that's on the horizon.
We're getting there.
I still think at this stage, nobody's really asking AI to run the operation.
Right.
It's sat there as reality. But I think at the minute it's still sat there as that middle layer between the system and the operator, because quite like you just said there, Tim, the operator still needs to manage those exceptions. AI probably isn't at the point where it can make a really informed decision on what it does with that exception. But I think what we will see, as I said before, is this whole shift of it's going to be us having to keep up with the demands of what you guys want. And I think very quickly, if you think about how fast AI has advanced in the past 12 months, that's only going to get quicker. Saw some statistics the other day where it was basically saying in some capacities, the people that are going to still be safe in roles are people that know how to use AI. And that's what I mean. I don't think it's there to replace people yet. I think it's more about what we have the ability to do with it, which is going to be driven from people.
We've still got 2 years to Skynet, so we're right. According to the movie franchise.
I'm tempted to push back on the ability of it to make those decisions.
I wasn't going to ask you about the Watchtower piece.
Like, most of the decisions we make in transport and warehousing are quite logic-based. It's if this, then this. I think computers have got a better capacity to take in all the different variables and all the different concepts to make those decisions. I think if we really dug into it, I think there would be very, very little that a human would excel at over an AI or even just a logic process in some of the decisions that we're talking about. There'll definitely be edge cases, but I think there's a huge amount.
I kind of agree, and I think the number one thing is the fear of people letting go.
Societal.
We have to build certain features. I know we're building that. I think people will use that for a little bit and then they'll switch it off because they'll realise it's probably doing it right as much as a human would.
How fast do you think that'll happen?
It's happening now.
How do you think that adoption would?
It's going to change from company to company. There's going to be people that are going to use it and improve it. To me, the blockers are around integration more than the technology itself, and we've come a really, really long way with it, with the way that you guys are working together. And I think, as I mentioned before, it's about pulling in those other data sources, and not just your systems as well. It's the external data. So you can get APIs from national highways, from weather, from energy networks and stuff like that. And they're the kind of data points that actually the people don't have. They often just work on instinct. They often work on, well, this is what happened last time, and it's maybe not as informed as you could be if you're using modern.
And then the last, Conor, we're going to finish for you in a second, but I suppose on that last note it's the control tower theory, not theory for application, isn't it? It's the idea that AI's got to the point now where it can sit there and watch your operation and just learn. So it learns, they're doing this in ports, aren't they already, Jamie? So an AI will just sit there and watch your whole operation and let it fail, let things see the course of events out. And then once it's seen it happen right to the outcome, then it's learned. So the thing that AI is missing to a certain extent is experience. But an AI can sit there now and watch your operation, watch your planning desk, watch the planning dashboard, watch the picking dashboard, and learn what happens when this happens and when that happens. And then it just builds a database of knowledge. And once it knows, and then it just plays odds. I know that when I can start seeing this happen, there's a 90% probability that that's going to be the outcome. So this is how I'm going to correct it. So anyway, on all that, Conor, before we go to some Q&A, how is it going to change your business? What are you looking at next?
We're looking at the moment anyway, with the 2 AI features that are coming, we're definitely looking at getting the data right. I think AI is very powerful, but if your data is wrong or incorrect or anything else other than perfect, the AI will be wrong. There's no way around it. It doesn't think it's logic based. It thinks based on logic, but it won't. If you're missing a serial number or one digit on a serial number, it's not going to automatically go, oh yeah, that's there's a 2 at the end of that. It needs to be this. Your data and your processes has to be right before you even look at AI, and that's what we're currently doing. We're getting all our processes right in preparation for when the 2 AI tools come out in full force. Yeah. But it is a strong. People see AI as a buzzword. AI is very useful. It has its benefits. It has its weaknesses. Being that it's not a human, it doesn't think like a human. It thinks like a computer. It is more powerful than a computer, absolutely. But at the end of the day, it's logic based. So if your processes and your data is wrong, your AI is going to be inconsistent. And I think that's a key point that people miss sometimes. Then you definitely need to fix processes first before looking at AI, not have the AI fix the data and process for you. And just one thing to note, because I see like we didn't bring it up, you mentioned earlier about the good things the systems have. The one thing from a day-to-day point of view is the support from both sides. Both teams at the support desk, at the support level, are extremely helpful when we run into an issue. And it's gotten to a point now where everyone used to come to me and go, oh, this has thrown up an error, can you fix it? And I've kind of steered them more and more towards the support chat, and now they don't come to me for the day-to-day, they go to your guys on the team. So it is something to note that as a day-to-day operation, if you do run into an issue, both teams are there to help you there and then, and not waiting a couple of days for a solution. We can't wait in the industry we're in, so it does help. Just to know.
I'd agree, mate. You're obviously getting paid more than me.
I was just going to say, I was looking at the 20 no bother. I didn't even ask for that bit.
No, but I suppose, again, for context, it's how you do it. Again, so those with different TMSs, most of us come from the world of having to wait a day or 2 or 3 to even get an answer to a ticket when ticket disc systems first came out. Again, so we were as has been mentioned, we were one of Qargo's first users over here, and that the chatbot, not chatbot back then, the agent at the bottom there was, I think, your average response time is in 5 minutes. We're 2 years later and however many, hundreds of customers afterwards, and I think we're at like 10 minutes.
6.5, I think we've been over the last 18 months.
That shows how much I go in the system.
But again, it's AI, some of it, isn't it?
Well, yeah, exactly.
AI is utilised in there as well to know those things that the system knows it can answer based on what your inputs have been. And that's another important factor. The more you interact with that, the better it gets.
But I'll agree with you, Conor, like say, what we found with the information of more business logic and workflows and AI, it hasn't released lots of people's time. What it's done is it's allowed them to concentrate on using the system properly and put the data in the right place and spending that extra few minutes putting the data in as opposed to writing on an notepad and forgetting about it, using the functionality of the 2 systems properly as opposed to trying just to steamroll through your day, taking the time to use it, which then gives you the correct data points to then push forward.
And then from that, you also get, you can start focusing on the things that actually matter and not having someone there typing in all the information or looking through it. You can trust that the information and the systems are right, and you can start focusing on the more important things.
Business strategy. I'm looking after customers, sorry. So I don't know if you've been prepped on this final thought. Have you been prepped on this? Do you have visibility? I've got here to ask you, what's one thing logistics businesses should stop accepting as just the way things are, or the classic, that's how we've always done it?
Oh, that's one tricky one to not be prepared for.
What should we not accept? What should we accept?
What shouldn't we accept is you shouldn't accept systems that aren't joined up anymore. It's still crazy. I see even PDFs being exchanged between businesses for an order, which is the most useless format. Even if it's in a spreadsheet, it's way more useful.
Yeah.
If that text file's better, isn't it?
Any
PDF.
Like that picture of a PDF, like ridiculous. And again, not to keep harping on, but the good thing is AI can even do that now. So just lack of integration, any kind, even if it's an automated PDF to an email to automatically being pulled in, that's the bare minimum. So yeah, forget this PDF kind of style of handing it to someone to import and get wrong. That has to be gone.
Nice. Jamie?
Really transporty answer, but booking windows and just-in-time delivery. Yeah, you need to deliver this package at 15 minutes past 1 on Wednesday, otherwise you get a £200 fine and the world falls apart. I think it's destroying efficiency.
I'd agree with that. Thank you, Boots. David?
I think the biggest thing for me to take away from it is that whole narrative of transport industry is just stuck in the dark ages. I don't think there's any reason why this industry should still be stuck in the dark ages in the way it was. You know, you're running businesses that are turning over lots of money with lots of expensive assets. You know, development should be entering into this space in the same way as in lots of other spaces, which, yeah, I think is coming more and more.
Well, straight before I ask you first, you're right, mate, because I'm from the parcel world originally, and when I came into haulage, the parcel industry was always seemed to be 5-10 years ahead of what the technologies that operators and hauliers were using. Sign on glass, photograph and delivery, but now it's level pegging. Yeah. Conor?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is that we are seeing a big shift in the transport industry as is. You can see it with the ETAs. We now offer, and before we couldn't, next day delivery for nearly all of the country. Whether it be through a pallet network or not, but I feel a lot of places that we talk to as well, it's going to be 5 days. And it's like, well, hang on, actually, we get that here to you today. There's no way it's going to take 5 days. And that key, we found a really good pallet network that we have that are in the same mindset of us that, no, actually, it shouldn't take more days than it has to, just because that's the way it used to be. You know, we get a pallet, we leave it sit there 2 days. That's not how it works. And I think finding like-minded companies that are also progressing and modernizing into the world of, like, every pallet network we use, same thing, Silent Glass has a photo that was non-existent before. Yeah. We're not chasing paperwork anymore, and I think that's probably the big shifts for us that we're seeing.
Thank you, boys. Bang on time, actually. But we're going to let some questions happen though. Who's got some questions for these fabulous four? So the question is, customer portals for both systems. How does it work in the real world? Do customers have to jump into both?
They're not really, when an order goes into the Clarus system, we just have an agreement that it's going to be picked that day based on the SLA window. So they're not looking at it from what's happening in the warehouse. They're only focusing on the actual delivery side of it. A lot of the people logging in are just customer service reps that, you know, as a phone for a customer, when am I going to get this delivery? They'll be able to tell in Qargo when it's planned, the ETA for it, and if it's in transit, they can see the truck. So they're only really looking at it from a transport point of view. They don't really care when it was picked or the process of it.
My question is how customers do. So they will be very keen to understand what's in the warehouse, where is it, etc., etc. But also want to see that journey to the end customer as well. So we want them to be able to go and see from into section to the warehouse.
If you want
to someone's doorstep.
If you wanted really specific warehouse data, you would have to log into both. Yeah.
Is there a plan to have it all?
Potentially. I mean, you could even build it yourself.
And so you could quite easily build it yourself.
If you wanted. The key bit is the statuses do sync. So if you are looking at an order in the Qargo portal, for instance, you'll be able to see that it was picked. So if they really want to see the specific, like I want to see is, you know, how much of it is picked and where it's been picked from.
No, not necessarily that. Just one customer. You can I know that's in the warehouse.
Yeah, you probably can see that from the statuses, right?
Yeah, so you can get...
So at a high level status, you can say that the order was created, it was sent to the warehouse, it was picked, it was dispatched. Yeah, that
you can choose to expose the status on the portal.
You can, yeah. We currently don't, but it is possible to have that single status.
So the question being to the service providers, the system providers in the room. So obviously, operators, the biggest barrier, according to Logistics UK, is the legacy part of their operating system. So what's the reality from your guys? What are you seeing? From my point, just quickly, before we moved to one of your systems, it was perceived that moving a TMS was going to be the end of the world, and it was going to take us 6 months worth of...
It was what did they describe it as? was it Pete? Open heart surgeon in the back of a moving flatbed, I think was what they described it as, I think.
Yeah. We perceived it to be the biggest thing in the world. You guys, you can answer the question yourself. Obviously, you made it quite seamless, and actually, it made us change all the rest of our systems because it was that easy. Gents, your perception?
You were going to go, Tim. You were going to go first, and then else you shoot.
That is the fear, really. It's how hard is it going to be to move off a legacy platform? But that's what we specialise in. That's literally was our niche for many, many years. Our niche might be now AI, but it's getting you off a legacy platform, giving you access to your data, and giving all your customers access to their data as well. So, it's much easier than it used to be. My background was actually implementing the software. So when I designed Clarus, I looked at it from that kind of perspective. How can I get this into warehouses as seamlessly and easily as possible without all of the pain? So it's something we do. And the hardest part of us is selling that to those companies, and we just have to kind of get them to speak to great people, great customers, and kind of talk about your experience during that process, because we've got hundreds of good case studies around that. So it's one of those things. And now the world is changing where people, they really need to make moves. You can't just sit still on a legacy platform.
I think just to add a small point on that as well. I think when people have been used to a legacy-based system, obviously like the architecture of a legacy-based system means that people run different versions and they have patch updates and things like that. And I think if you've had a poor experience with that part of it, the fact then of thinking, well, what's it going to be like to put a whole new system in, feels way different than actually what that transition would be like. And it just based on poor experience in the past, which is something that in a SaaS or a cloud-based functionality just wouldn't exist. Everybody's running on one server, one platform, not one server, one platform, and just a much more seamless experience.
Yeah, and the trust is different as well, because we patch 12 times a day. So if you took that to legacy context, people would say, "What the hell? Never all work." But it's just completely different. It's just a completely different world, and you have to help educate them on the pros of that world.
I would say the biggest takeaway from an operator point of view is if and when you do it, don't try and shoehorn your old TMS or WMS's way of working, or what it looks like, or how it's set up into the new world. Use their systems how their systems should be used. Don't try and think, I've always had that screen with this setup with this variables, because it won't work, because people will have too much connection between how they used to work and how now they're trying to work. We used it as an umbilical cord and just cut it, didn't we? We don't care. Cleanse the data, get it in the new world, use the new world how the new world should be used. Don't have the two connected in your head. Make it as different as you can, because then people don't have a choice about it.
Week after Christmas, it was glorious, wasn't it? No.
Any more questions, or should we all just have another cup of tea and a biscuit? Right, can we have a big round of applause from everyone in the room just for a great day? Thank you, good night.